Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Last night at Campfire Shabbat, we came together to sing and to be able to express our emotions. This morning, I want to talk a little bit about action. As we read through Parshat Naso, as we read through the Parsha that we're focusing on this week, there are a number of sections that actually speak very loudly to us about action, but the one I want to focus on today is the section of the Nazir. And we read about it also in the Haftarah with the story of Samson, but a Nazir is someone who abstains from alcohol, wine, or any grape products. They don't shave their heads, they don't cut their hair, they separate themselves from the dead. In a very simple and plain explanation, a Nazir is a person who chooses to take action to make himself a better person. And we can argue, and the rabbis do, as to whether or not it's effective, whether or not it's something to be laudable. But on a basic level, the Nazir is saying, I want to improve myself, I want to be a better person, I want to be closer to God, and therefore I'm going to make changes in my life in order to do that. Now the word Nazir comes from the same letters as a spiritual midah, a spiritual principle that we call zrizut. You can hear the same words that are in there. Zrizut is often translated as alacrity or enthusiasm. And it is what drives us to do things. It helps us motivate to achieve goals. It helps us to change ourselves and the world around us. It can help us remove mental obstacles that prevent us from doing things. And if we think about it, without this midah of zrizut, we stay stagnant. We don't change. And in essence, we spiritually decay. The most famous example, or the most famous source that we have on zrizut comes from the Midrash in Mechilta de Rabbi Ishmael. And it's talking about, in Exodus, it's talking about the Passover story. And it reads as follows. Just as matzot are not permitted to become chametz, so too a mitzvah should not be permitted to become chametz. But if an opportunity of a mitzvah presents itself to you, perform it immediately. We shouldn't wait. We shouldn't delay. When we have the opportunity to do a mitzvah, when we have the opportunity to do something, we shouldn't just let it sit and become chametz. We should jump to it. We should do it right away. And sort of the two paradigms of this within our text, actually Abraham twice in the story, it says he wakes up early in the morning. Once, the main one is when he is actually getting ready to potentially sacrifice his son. And he wakes up early in the morning. He didn't delay. And the rabbis pick up on that and say what you will about whether we agree with what he should be doing, but he was zariz la mitzvah. He was eager. He was going to do it. He wasn't going to let it sit. He wasn't going to let it delay. This is what he was supposed to do. He was going to go do it. But the example that actually I like the best has to do with the Sukkah. And we know that Sukkot falls 5 days after Yom Kippur. And so there's a tradition that immediately once Yom Kippur is done, immediately when we hear the blowing of the shofar after Ne'ilah, we're supposed to go outside and we're supposed to nail the first nail into the sukkah. We're supposed to start that mitzvah because we don't want to wait. We have the 5 days to do it, but why wait? Let's be zariz la mitzvah. Let's go and with energy and enthusiasm, jump into that mitzvah. And as we read through what the rabbis say about zrizut, there are actually two components to what zrizut does for us. First, zrizut is the energy, the efficient energy that gets us going and helps us with our endeavors. In other words, zrizut is that energy that breaks the inertia. When we're sitting and we're not moving and we're not doing, We need something. We need that burst of energy to get us going. And zrizut, this quality of zrizut, is what does it for us. But also, the rabbis say, zrizut is the energy that allows us to persist in tasks that are ongoing. Because we all know at a certain point in time, even if we have that energy in the beginning, at a certain point in time we get worn out. Our attention goes somewhere else. And so zrizut allows us to come back, to refocus on those things that are important and re-engage in them even after they've been going on for a long time. So this sounds wonderful. But what are the challenges, the obstacles that we have to living a life with zrizut? And all of the rabbis understand it's not easy. It's not easy. So there are two main obstacles to zrizut that we need to think about and we need to examine in our own lives. The first comes from Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, and in his Path of the Just, he talks about the first major stumbling block to zrizut is what he calls the direct opposite. It's laziness or apathy. Right? We as human beings don't always have that sense of motivation. We like to, an object at rest tends to stay at rest. We like to not necessarily jump to things. We don't want to go out of our comfort area, of our comfort zone. And Luzzatto actually warns us how dangerous this trait can be. He writes, "The bad that comes from laziness does not come about in one fell swoop, but slowly and without notice. It comes in a sequence of one bad deed after another until you find yourself sunk in evil." So it's not that, it's where we focus on this big thing and, okay, I don't really want to do that big thing. I don't want to change my entire life. But it starts with the little things. It starts with all the little things that we just say, not today. I got other things to do. I have other things to think about. And it doesn't seem like a big deal, but when they all add up, when they all start to build, Rabbi Luzzatto says, it's really a force that takes all of the wind out of the sails of zrizut. But the second obstacle that I want to talk about are the dreaded if-onlys. And it's astounding how much power these two little words have to stop us dead in our tracks. They keep us from acting, they keep us from dreaming, they keep us from changing. And the Alter of Novadrok, in his book Madrugat Adam, he actually runs through a list of ambitions that human beings have, and he puts the word if only after them to see what it sounds like. And he writes, "I'd give so much to charity if only I were wealthy. I'd study and learn so much if only I were smarter. I'd be so helpful to my friends if only I were stronger." And maybe today we can add, "I'd make a difference in this world if only I were braver." My friends, today as we read Parshat Naso and we learn about the life-changing commitments and sacrifices that the Nazirim made to better themselves and to better the world, we need to think about the obstacles that prevent us from being zrizim, from going out and living this midah of zrizut. How do we allow laziness and apathy to keep us from moving in our lives? What are the if-onlys that we say that stop us from doing what we should do and being what we should be? We as Jews live under a fundamental principle that the world needs work and that we are not free to desist from doing that work. We don't need to look very far to see the truth of the first part of that statement. Are we willing to find the zrizut the alacrity, the energy needed to ensure the second. Shabbat Shalom.